This guy claims that MrBeast is using child slaves to make his chocolate bars. So let's see if this guy has any legitimization to his claim. Shut up, cat!
In this video, I'm going to try to prove 2 points. The first is that MrBeast and Feastables is using child labor and forced labor for their chocolates and has been since around late 2023.
Well, it seems like they're really late into the child slave market. If I were to run a child slave chocolate bar rink, I would definitely get in the game a little bit earlier than late 2023. But seriously, guys, this guy's claim, Reggie, I don't know if Reggie can really believe this claim because this is such a huge claim. I know MrBeast has been doing some bad, corrupt things, but are we sure that he is holding child slaves to make his chocolate bars? This guy's gonna need a lot of proof.
When Feastables first launched in January of 2022, if you went into their FAQ, their frequently asked questions section, they proudly displayed that they were child labor free and slave labor free.
Child slave labor is good and all, but the fact that they aren't kosher is unacceptable. They need to be kosher. They need to really push for that kosher certification. So maybe instead of, maybe they drop the child slave labor, they have a couple child slaves, but they try to take some, they have those kids remove some of the ham or the unkosher things from the thing. I mean, that makes sense to me. That makes sense to me.
But just a few months later, in October of 2023, that main page item that said we're slave free, that was removed. In addition, in the frequently asked questions section, that stuff about being child labor free and slave labor free, that stuff also disappeared.
Okay, this kind of makes me angry. That's this guy's whole proof. His whole proof is that they removed an FAQ from a website? From a website! They removed an FAQ from a website. That's his proof that MrBeast is harboring child slaves in his basement to make candy bars for him. Okay.
If you're thinking, oh, it's a mistake, or maybe they forgot, I think the chances of this being true are less than 0.001%. You see, MrBeast prides himself on hiring the best of the best, and there is no way marketers would forget to put this kind of information on their website because it would boost their brand favorability in the eyes of consumers.
So it couldn't have been a mistake. Because why? Because you said so? Is that the logic that we're operating off of because you just said so? Because it just possibly couldn't have been a mistake? Or perhaps they accidentally removed it off the website with...
It's likely then that MrBeast is now using child labor and forced labor for Feastables chocolates.
I have never seen such a gap in logic to where you go from one narrative of something being off of a website to this guy has child slaves. That's a bit extreme, don't you think? My grandpa didn't ask me to mow his lawn this week. That means that he's harboring child slaves to do it for him.
Now, my second point is more damning. I think MrBeast knew the entire time, since the beginning of Feastables, that he was going to use child labor and slave labor for his chocolates, but he tried to trick us into thinking otherwise.
What is MrBeast? Houdini? Is he the greatest showman all of a sudden? Why does this guy feel obligated all of a sudden whenever he decides to use child slaves to at least be honest about it? Because honesty is the bigger sin. Lying would be the bigger sin than having child slaves. You obviously can't lie about not having child slaves. And it's a legal requirement. You can have child slaves, but you have to be honest about it in your paperwork. What?
When MrBeast first launched Feastables, it was in line with his brand. They were clearly trying to do things ethically. They actually got a certification from the Rainforest Alliance.
I don't know about you, but I don't care if there's some stupid frog on the packaging. Ah!
Once you're certified, you're able to use their logo, which is a little frog, on all of your products, your website, on all of that stuff. When I saw the packaging for Feastables, both old and new, there was no Rainforest Alliance certified logo anywhere. Now, why would these brilliant marketers choose to leave that off when that would, again, boost your brand favorability in the eyes of consumers?
This guy's acting like MrBeast. MrBeast, of all people, is some sort of evil genius. Like he's just some maestro working behind the scenes like, I'm going to use child slaves. But they won't know it because I'll put it in my FAQ that I don't. And then I'll remove the frog when everybody's least expecting it.
The only conclusion that I can think of is that MrBeast knew. He knew that one day they were going to get rid of that certification. You see, if one day that package has a frog logo on it and the next day it disappears, people will notice. They will especially notice because the Feastables bar, MrBeast sent this thing to everyone, to all the huge YouTubers. He ran competitions, he got people to take selfies with it, take pictures on the shelves. This thing has a paper trail 10,000 miles long. And again, if one day it had that frog and the next day it was missing, people were gonna notice. So instead, they decided to only put it on their website because at the end of the day, who the hell reads a website except for weirdos like me?
You got that right, you weirdo. Because of a frog, MrBeast has been harboring this great plan of having child slaves to make Feastables. This guy makes flat earthers have utmost credibility because of his eaten earthworm intellect. What is this? Here's the whole thing, people. Reggie is not a MrBeast glazer, okay? But since MrBeast is getting exposed for all these things, all these shady business practices, because I'm still shady, okay. People think that they can just say anything about MrBeast and it just goes. Sure, maybe MrBeast does have child slaves to make his chocolate, but you need more proof than just an FAQ from a stupid website. I've never been on that in my life. I've never even eaten a Feastable, people, but you need more proof. If you like this video and have any other suggestions on what video I should make next, Reggie is trying these things. Subscribe. Hope you enjoyed.